All right, good afternoon. Welcome back here to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. We just had a drop in the market. You can see here from about 28.53 to 28.42, so about 11 points in about 5 minutes. You can see the market rebounded most of that here, and you can see the volume 20K. We have multiple minutes with heavy volume. This isn't your typical bottoming or topping volume or anything like that. This is news related, right? There was some sort of news release, some sort of news that came out. And what's really interesting is it came out after the market pushed into new highs on some pretty heavy volume. There was some pretty high volume into those new highs, new short-term highs, and it was across the board with that volume. So we have kind of this high volume top or push higher, and then we get a high volume news event. Now we get a little snapback. This is still kind of a fluid situation overall, but what's going on, and does it really change anything? Well, the action is happening on a report out of Bloomberg, right? And Bloomberg is reporting, and it's right here on their front page. They are reporting that U.S. officials are concerned that China is pushing back against American demands in trade talks as progress slows toward a deal that could give President Trump a boost for his 2020 reelection bid. Oh, man, I love some of these news outlets. Everything has to be political. Chinese negotiators have shifted their stance with the view that while they have agreed to changes to their intellectual property policies, they haven't received assurances from the Trump administration that tariffs imposed on their exports would be lifted. Two of the people said on condition of anonymity. More information developing to come. What do you take from something like that? Zero detail, zero facts, zero real data. There's nothing in it. There's zero to really take from it. There's a political barb, right? There's something in that. But when you get to what this really is, two anonymous people said that China hasn't received assurances from the Trump that tariffs imposed on exports will be lifted. I mean, for as complex and as massive as these trade negotiations are, that's all we really get. That's all you're reporting. That's all you got. Yeah. I mean, I know that ultimately I don't believe a trade deal, the way the market is looking at it, will happen. I think there will be ultimately a trade deal that happens and has taken place, or that takes place, because both sides absolutely need it. But I think it'll be a very watered down version of what the intent was at the onset. And all that said, this says zero. This says zero. And so, we get this, and Bloomberg has a reputation. So, okay, market's going to drop, and everyone, oh, Bloomberg. And then they start to read it and go, wait a minute, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. Now, it doesn't mean there's not more to come, right? And we've seen this with the trade talks that, when there's a little bit of smoke, there tends to be a little bit of fire a little bit later. In the case of trade talks, it's been more smoke, less fire. But now you're going to have every news agency trying to confirm or deny or come up with their own story. And over the next 24 hours, we're going to have many more headlines from many more news services, probably with very similar information that really isn't information, that really isn't giving the market anything new. And you can see the market's not making a significant move here so far. So does it change anything? This is like an analyst coming out and raising a price target on a stock from 150 to 152 because they're adjusting their Q4 number. I mean, that's all. That's it. It's about as meaningful as that. And, ultimately, could there be some meaning in the price action and everything else? Yes, there could be. We break today's lows. That could get some of the algos kicking in. But, at this point, there's really zero zip to take from it, or to really kind of say, hey, something changed. The game is now changed, or it's more bullish, or it's now bearish, or anything like that. There's none of that here, and so it suggests that you're holding calls on positions. They're probably still in bullish positions, and you probably still run with them. If you're holding puts, you're probably sitting there going, "Come on, reverse." But there's nothing in this, at least so far. When you look at oil, there's a small reversal. There's a small reversal, but this news was good for about 30 cents lower in oil. Nothing too significant, and nothing that's breaking any sort of real key levels out there in the market right now. Okay. All right. So anyway, that's the news. That's what we're seeing, kind of happening right now. It's going to be ongoing and developing here the rest of the day, and something that could create a few more fireworks into the close, in both directions. We are seeing the bullish percent index perk up a little bit here today. Here on the internals, if we look at the sectors that are moving today, it remains a fairly bullish sector breakdown today, where you have consumer discretionaries, healthcare, energy, materials, tech on top, industrials, and then your laggards are utilities and real estate, and then yesterday's big leader, financials there. So this is a market where you strip out utilities, the market's up a lot nicer. So the index number is not really reflecting the true gains in the market here today. If you look at it from a broad-based area, if we come in and look at just number of stocks trading above the 7-day moving average, this is a number when it starts to get up into about the 450, 460 area, it's way overbought. You can see it's about 380. That's kind of right there, bullish prime zone. So continuing to favor the bulls there. We see the same thing with the 20-day moving average. So it remains a market where the actual market vibe signal is still neutral, and the chances of it triggering bullish are very slim, just with what has happened. But the majority of the metrics, so far, remain bullish, and no real sign of weakness, or pullback coming into them at this point here, so far. All right. Thanks for hopping on. Have yourselves a great one. We'll talk to you later. Take care.